Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I uploaded useful content, and I do apologize for that, but I'm actually feeling inspired today, and I have got so much cool shit to do for you guys. But here's something which just jumped into my AliExpress feed. I mean, obviously, you know, on AliExpress on your smartphone, you get all sorts of stuff like butt plugs full of DMT. Yes, that showed up on my AliExpress wall. And predator drones. Yeah, AliExpress is advertising um, predator drones for $150,000 that'll carry a 60 kilogram payload. That's enough to carry around a small human. But here's something useful that actually showed up on AliExpress, and I'm fucking enamored. This is gorgeous, and I am kind of tempted to actually order one with some of the Patreon money next month and actually build a kit. Okay, to the point. You guys know that in telecom, DC plant is the way that we run. Okay, we run DC plant. That's the best way to go for so many reasons, which I've already explained 1,000 times, but I'll reiterate just quickly. One, DC plant is far more resilient against adverse power conditions, whether it's an EMP, whether it's ESD, whether it's RF interference or near field lightning strikes, or even direct hits. The conversion rate is also direct. You're running a 48 volt site, you run 48 volt DC with a AC to DC power converter. And so, you know, or sometimes we call them UPSs. Typically, the proper terminology would be a rectifier. But either way, regardless, we run our sites typically at about 48 volts is proper. 24 volts is for like a small site, which we commonly see in small telecom design. So now that being said, something which I've been looking for the longest bloody time is these, okay? DC generators. Why? Because there's times the weather's getting much worse every year. You can't deny that. And you know what? There's going to be all you guys out there that hate on me for saying green initiative stuff, but don't hate on me, okay? I am one of these meet in the middle type ecologists. I am a greenhead, as you guys might call us, or a green tard, or whatever the derogatory is for us, but I'm also logical. As an example, I don't think that forcing people over to electric vehicles is a wise move. There has to be an even and smooth transition to better technologies, including electric vehicles, because we really do need to reduce our carbon, and we need to also stop deforestation and reverse that process. But on the same note, you can't force people to do this because we're not all rich and can't afford like $100,000 electric vehicles. That's idiotic. It's just not a smart approach. But anyway, I digress. Because of the electrical vehicle market, we've got some really awesome tech that is becoming readily available to us. A couple of pieces of tech which will benefit the telecom industry, especially for you small carriers that are trying to save money, is these DC generators. So right here, we've got a 3 kilowatt silent automatic electric range extender generator, which, by the way, when I go and do my own EV or buy an EV, I will be adding one of these to it for long travel, because it just makes sense with the lack of proper charge stations everywhere. So anyway, the cool thing about this little guy here is we have a 3 kilowatt automatic start generator, and it says low voltage auto start because this guy will start on 12 volts. Because I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but EVs typically have a 12 volt system in them because just like telecom starting off as standardized 48 volt, transport vehicles typically run 12 or 24 volts. You know, lorries, transports, that sort of things all run at about 24 volts in a lot of cases. Tractors will run at 12 or 24 volts depending on how much start current they need. It's really engine size. But so you need to have something that will drop in and run off that 12 volt standard. These guys will start on 12 volts. All right, 4 minutes in and I'm getting to the point. This guy here comes in 48, 60, and 72 volt options. This is it claims it is a 3 kilowatt silent automatic electric vehicle range extender, which means this will have a very simple auto start mechanism. I'm assuming that this will not be CAN bus, but as you can see, there's limited information on here. $315.78 is what they're claiming. If you can find these little devices, these generators, this is perfect as a standby device in conjunction with something like this. And I am going to be doing a RV generator conversion for my own home, which of course it'll have to be certified for insurance purposes. But the point is that The power goes out for long periods of time here sometimes. I have 24 hours of standby here, but after that, I'm on generator. So I've got a small RV generator which produces the 900 watts necessary to charge my battery bank. Okay, so look at this. This is a dual fuel carburetor. So this guy here can do propane or natural gas. The idea here is if you guys have a remote site, you typically got, what, 4-8 hours of standby power in your battery bank, right? Well, you want something that's low maintenance, silent, and reliable that can kick in if your batteries get down to 0 before mains comes back up, okay? So you can add something like this to a generator like this so that you can actually run this generator on propane. So now, here, let me draw a picture for you. Let me get my whiteboard. And let me get a couple of whiteboard markers, okay? All right. So the idea here is very, very simple. Is that you simply install one of these small generators at your site as supplementary power, because many of you guys aren't running sites that will use more than 3 kilowatts. Largest one I've worked with so far is 1200 watts, okay? So you've got your DC plant here. I should switch over to this camera, but whatever. We're going to have I'm going to draw a rack. And obviously most of us use small enclosures, so actually let me do this. Let me make it a small enclosure, okay? You've got all your telecom gear up here. You got your charging system here, and then you've got your batteries here. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so now you can also add a little relay pack and a generator. So I'm going to make the generator red here. So the idea is that we have our generator, okay, and this will go into our plant here, 48 volts. 3 kilowatts. Obviously, you'll have to dial this down a little bit or let a power manager handle this for you so you're not putting too much current straight into your battery bank, because a small battery bank with 3,000 watts of 48 volts going into it would be rather detrimental. You would probably damage the batteries, okay? Now, this is where things get cool, and this is why I want to draw this. And if you guys, I think that the bare minimum for a lot of propane companies is 400 pounds, okay? So typically this is what we do. There we go. So now the picture gets completed. So you can see here you've got your DC plant over here. You've got your generator here and your propane over here. So the idea is you can simply add an LVD relay that will watch for the battery to reach its dead voltage set point. At 48 volts, what would that be? Be about 44 volts-ish. 46 you want the generator to kick in really for the health of the batteries. So the idea here is with propane, you don't have to haul petrol. You don't have to haul gasoline to the site. So you can have 2 or 4 of these tanks. Hell, you can even use little 20-pounders, okay? Or 30-pound RV tanks are perfect. You can gang 3 or 4, have a licensed steam fitter, like a gas fitter, do this for you. But you can actually have your propane tank set up in a cage with your generator, or have the propane tanks legally off to the side with your generator next to your electrical enclosure. And they're sitting there waiting. Because realistically, remember, propane and natural gas don't have as much power as gasoline. So you do lose a little bit of power, like oomph, torque, horsepower, when running this generator. But you're not going to need a full 3 kilowatts. In fact, my battery bank in the basement, for example, my inverter is only capable of charging at 75 amps tops at 12 volts, which I think works out to 900 watts. So that's about 900 watts at 120 volts. So this 3 kilowatt generator is going to be 3 times the size necessary for most of your sites to charge it up quickly within about a half an hour. So it's not going to be running all the time. It's going to come on, run for half an hour to an hour, top your batteries up, and then turn off. And then once your batteries deplete again, it'll come back on. Then once mains comes on, the generator's sitting there idle doing absolutely nothing. So the basic concept here is you can take one of these little generators, you can add a dual fuel kit to it, you can add some I'll use 30s, 30 lb propane. Here we go, where's an image of this? So you can add, say, 3 or 4 of these guys to the site as well. And now, perfect. So you've got 4 tanks, 4 30-pound tanks sitting at your site to run your generator, okay? You leave one of those with a little valve on it. They should all have their own disconnect valves so that you can turn them off. But if you've been out for a week because a storm like Fiona or Oscar or whatever god-awful storms have been coming and hit us, you can have 1 tank on standby, and the rest of your tanks are your running tanks. And when you see that your propane is depleted, by the way, there are propane, LTE propane monitoring devices you can get to go on your tanks to monitor them. You can head over to your site. You can take your 3 tanks to wherever you can get propane, and then you can have that 1 propane tank, switch it on, and it'll run it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't done the math on this, but just from hearsay, a person that I know who has a Generac, actually, standby system, it's a 15 kilowatt, they have a 400-pound propane tank next to their house, and they said with their average usage, they've gone as long as 2 weeks on a 400-pound tank, okay? So for a small site like this, if you want to run it for a week, you know what? I would say a 100-pound tank would probably cut it. So that being said, this is the perfect solution for long term. And even better, if you've got a mountain site or an off-grid site that's not even connected to mains, and you've got solar there, you've got wind there, but obviously there are days where this might fail, okay? That happens because weather is unpredictable. And yes, you can go on the averages historically recorded in your area to determine what the best renewable source is to run your off-grid site, because you can't get electricity to your site at a reasonable cost. Oh, shit. Yeah, electrical company here. You want to run electricity to your site? Well, that's going to be about $250,000. What? It's only like 2 miles to the site. Well, yeah, but you know, we got to roll the crew, and it's going to have to be burial, so we're going to have to blast to drop that in. You know, no, you run off grid. You add something like this as a supplementary power source, and then on the rare occasion that you're down for a while, the propane generator will kick in and run your site. And again, I'm not going to get into the actual logic circuits behind this, but it's just as simple. Typically, these generators usually have a few pairs of wires on them. And I'll show you when I go to do my generator conversion. They'll have a start set where you short it and it starts, and you open the circuit and it will stop. Or you short to start, and then there's a second set where you short to stop. Okay? And in the case where you've got something weird, usually with the schematics for the generator or taking it apart and investigating it, you can figure out how these things work. And in some cases, they're completely automated, where as soon as they've got a load on them, they will start. There's a million flavors of these guys, but until I get my hands on one, I'm not going to know. So I think next month I might actually pick up one of these little gensets and a propane conversion kit, and I'm going to try to convert one of these guys. And then once I'm done my conversion, I'll probably end up selling it to whoever wants it, because I'm not made of money. And if it wasn't for the Patreons, I wouldn't be able to buy half the crap that I buy for the channel, because that's what I use the Patreon for, is not only feeding myself, but buying stuff like this, which this kit is not done yet, but this will be my lightning simulator. I bought this last month, which will go towards blowing up equipment with lightning. It's just, unfortunately, my flyback transformer exploded, and the one that I ordered isn't actually big enough. But I digress. You get one of these guys, throw it at your site, hook it up to some propane, and when your batteries are depleted, the idea is that this will kick in and maintain your site for days. And it's propane. Gas goes bad. It turns into varnish unless you have fuel stabilizer in it. So with propane, it stores beautifully for long periods of time. So it's the ideal fuel for this. You're worried about security? You know what? Most of you guys are good with welders or know somebody who is. Weld up a cage. You can have 2 cages. You pour a pad, like a nice 8 or 10-inch pad, to put this kit onto. You install it on there with a cage over top of it. You put your propane in the legally suggested position so it's away from an ignition source, and you're good to go. So we'll be digging into this a little bit more, but I wanted to bring this to your attention. So I'm sorry if I went off on tangents and filled things in, but most of you guys can appreciate the fact that I'm fucking ADHD, and I am really struggling with it lately. And if any of you guys know a good medication that might work, let me know, because I've tried about 10 or 15 different medications, and they've all had horrible side effects. And microdosing is working for the behavior, but not for the focus. So anyway, I've brought this to your attention. Auto start DC generator, low cost to keep your site running. Dual fuel carburetor to add to said generator to make sure that you can run it on propane, which has longevity and stores for long periods of time. That's all there is to it. And then I threw some fun comedy shit in there. As far as actually putting it all together to make it work, I will do that. I will actually make a video on that, and I'm hoping that I don't get ripped off, because I'm very hesitant even ordering from Amazon these days, because everybody's a scammer, and I'm so worried about getting ripped off, and I have been a few times on both Amazon and Ali, and I've managed to, in most cases, get my money back. But I really want to do this because I think this will be helpful for a lot of you guys, especially those guys who were hit recently in Kentucky and Alabama and Tennessee. You guys got hit hard. If you've got cost-effective, long-run solutions to carry you through, because I know you're not made of money and can't afford $5,000 for a generator for every single one of your sites. Batteries only last for so long. My guys in California, they run solar. So they've got solar panels at their sites as well, so that when the electrical company shuts down the power due to storms, they at least have supplementary power when the mains is down for long periods of time. It's about adapting. In some parts of the world, like in South Africa, there's a lot of problems with theft, so it's a little more difficult to build plants like this. But that's a sociological problem, and you can usually solve it by, providing and helping the local communities there, like we all should be doing. And then they typically guard your equipment and leave it alone, because they're like, oh, these guys are cool. So, yeah, there you go. I've ranted enough. I also had a coffee. Now I'm going to go to the gym. It is Sunday, March 5th. I hope this was enlightening and helpful. I have more content coming. Today I'm going to be recording some stuff with the ALGcom equipment, and I will be recording some RudderOS 6, RudderOS 7 OSPF integration, and I'm hoping to get those videos out this week. And there's some more stuff coming. I've got the Merku videos to do as well. Thanks, Merku. Your routers look pretty awesome, and I can't wait to play with them. They're literally sitting there unopened still. We'll catch you later, guys. Bye.